and I want to welcome you here today. It's good to see you, and I hope you feel welcomed. It's good to gather together and to be able to do this life of faith with each other. We need each other, and so thank you for being here today. If you're new here, this is your first time here, if you want to stop by at our hello booth, it's conveniently labeled with the word hello on it. And you can find that right out in our lobby. We'd love to meet you and to just get you connected with our church. As we take a look at connection, one way that you can look at getting connected also at the hello booth is to sign up for our newsletter. You can also follow us on social media on various platforms to just kind of be in the know of what's happening. And that's kind of in addition to these weekly announcements. You'll notice in front of you, unless you're on a front row, and then you'll have to kind of turn around behind you, but there's a little sticker on many seats with a little QR code. And that's a way that, as Zootown Church, we're hoping to kind of build a connection. So if you get a chance this morning and you scan that QR code, you can just connect with us through where it takes you in the platform there. And we would appreciate that. It helps us get to know kind of who's here and to be able to know that we're getting information out to our church. And so that is something that will help us out a lot. In terms of what's going on coming up, I want to let you know Eve is not happening tomorrow. It would normally be happening tomorrow, but it is not meeting for the month of August. And so want you to know that, no Eve tomorrow night. But coming up, we have next week on August 17th, the church has rented out Splash Montana in the evening. So from 6 to 7:30, we hope that you can join us at Splash Montana, and we'll be together as a community, having fun, enjoying the cold water on, I think, what's supposed to be another warm day. And then not this week, but next week, Tuesday, August 19th, starting at 7 p.m. here, we're going to have a worship night. And so it's something that we haven't done in a while here at Zootown Church. And so hopefully you can join us for that. It'll be a time just to enter into worship music and to be present with Jesus together. And so hopefully you can join us for those events, and hopefully you can find ways to be connected. Again, stop by the hello booth if you need any questions with getting connected here at Zootown Church. It's my honor now and my pleasure to welcome our Caleb Hren, who's going to be preaching today. He is a member of our preaching team, and he is the youngest member of the preaching team. Caleb is also one of our youth leaders and is a part of our young adults ministry. He comes every week to my wife, Jerry Lynn, and my house. He's definitely one of the ones who enjoys the food the most, I would say. Unless it's soup, and so we don't make soup anymore. He's got that kind of influence. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, Jerry Lynn and I love Caleb. And what we love about Caleb is he is easily one of the most faithful people that you'll meet. He shows up, he's present, and he really loves people. Caleb has taken to calling himself Jerry Lynn and my sixth child. And I hope that means that there's a deep connection there. And I know there is. One of the things that I'm growing into is that Caleb's also a brother in Christ. And so this is the honor piece that Caleb is going to preach today. And we get to learn what God has laid on his heart. And so, Caleb, I am excited to hear what God's laid on your heart. And as you preach God's words to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, he said a bunch of nice things. I'm going to have to call him out. My name is not Heren, it's Ren. The H is silent. So that's all right. Jerry Lynn's always been my favorite. It's okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I just want to say thank you to the church, to the staff for trusting me to do this. I don't know if I feel capable always to be up here, but God's put this on my heart to speak, and I feel confident about what he said. So The last time I preached was Mother's Day. That was the first time I preached. I thought it went really well. I remember right after service, I was in the lobby with my family, and I think I know Bryce and Lindsay were there. And Bryce said, for a second there, I thought you were doing like a 5-minute stand-up comedian bit. And I wasn't trying to be that funny, but sometimes it just flows. I'm sorry, I'm just a funny guy. But the best part was, if you know Bryce, you know this probably made him mad, but his wife, Lindsay, says, you know what, Caleb, I haven't laughed ever that hard at somebody preaching on stage. Coming from her husband right beside her that's up here 50% of the time. So I just liked that over Bryce. But today, we're going to keep the jokes down. I can see I've already started. Sorry. It's just going to come out a little bit. But yeah. Before we jump into my part of Joseph's story, we've been walking through, if you haven't been with us, we've been walking through a series called Joseph Living the Dream. We haven't really seen Joseph live that dream yet, but we will here soon, I think today. If you weren't with us, James week 1 kind of laid the groundwork about bringing us to Joseph's story, bringing us to it and his family background. Then we had Raleigh. I thought Raleigh did an amazing job. He brought us into I'm not going to say James the whole time, Joseph's life, and how Joseph was kind of the favorite son. His brothers hated him, and he interpreted these dreams, and he's kind of this little cocky brother that then his brothers hated and sold him into slavery. Bryce picked us up into that and showed us Joseph in slavery and how he kind of made his way to being the favorite slave of Potiphar's, and then he was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife of sleeping with her. And then last week, Ty did a great job of bringing us into how he was thrown into prison and that time of Joseph being in prison. Before we get into my section, I just want us all to take a trip down memory lane and think about when sometime in your life that you thought you maybe had it all figured out, or you thought this is how it was going to go the next few years. For me, that's back in the beginning of high school. It was like a long time ago, or 4 or 5 years ago. So when I was in high school, I knew what I kind of wanted to do. I loved the game of football. Football did not love me back, sadly. Kind of like your uncle that's at Thanksgiving dinner that's like, if I didn't get hurt, that would have been me up on that TV playing football today. If I didn't blow my shoulder out senior year, you guys wouldn't know who Patrick Mahomes was. It'd be Caleb Brown on the Chiefs winning Super Bowls. So, but no, I wanted to play football in college. I kind of knew what I wanted. I wanted to go to college, play football, meet my wife, have kids, and then I honestly didn't care. I was like, God, if I just work hard and serve you, you're going to figure out the rest of my life's plans. Well, as you can tell, that didn't really happen. God had different plans for me. So as I graduated high school, I did what every guy in high school does that doesn't want to go to college and doesn't know what he wants to do. I joined a construction company, and I first off want to say thank you to all the blue-collar workers. You guys are amazing. Like, we truly need you in this country. But I did not like it. I liked working with my hands. I liked doing something different every day, but if you know me, I'm not a negative person, and a construction site can get quite negative at times. So I wanted out of that so bad, so fast. And I just remember one night coming home to my parents, and I just started bawling, and I was like, I want out of this so bad. And I was already going to Jesus with it every day, saying, God, why can't I get out of this? When's the next season of my life starting? And my mom quickly found out that when she tells me to take it to Jesus, I don't like that because I've already been taking it to Jesus, and it's so frustrating when I'm already going to Jesus and I can't get those answers. So my mom, as always, she was like, just take it to Jesus. You'll be good. He'll give you answers when you need them. So shortly after that, I remember Jesus just telling me, you need to be content in what I have you in now. You can't be content in what's next if you can't be content right now. And for about 3 months, I remember saying, all right, God, I'm content, but when's my next season? I'm content, but when are you going to open those doors? I'm content, but when is this going to happen, right? And God just kept telling me, no, truly stay content. So then when I finally started to be truly content and saying, God, I don't care if you have me in this construction site for the next 10 years. I'm going to wake up every day, and I'm going to go to work like I'm working for you, and I'm going to truly be content. And that's when I started to see that season of my life start to change. It wasn't right away that God opened the doors, but every day got a little better. Every day was, okay, Jesus, I'm going to work for you. And about 3 months of truly being content, I got this text from somebody in high school that I went to school with, and he said, hey, I remember you saying that you don't like your work environment. Do you want to come check out our job? We're welding fire pits and have a great work environment. It was on a Wednesday morning. I was like, sure, I'll go. Can't hurt. Wednesday night, I go to the shop. It's funny because I was working on this remodel in this room right now, and I go to the shop, which is like, no joke, a 10-second walk that way. Thursday morning, the owners asked for an interview. I was pouring concrete right over there, showed up with concrete all over, like the most informal interview ever. Thursday morning, I have a job offer. Like, all the doors swung wide open. We're going to come back to that story, but yeah, we will, I think. We might get a little sidetracked, I don't know. But we've seen this is kind of how Joseph's life's been up to this point, right? He probably has a way that he wants his life to go, but every time God has a different season for him, and Joseph has to learn to become content in that season before Joseph moves on to the next thing. So I just want to let's jump into Genesis 41. That's where we're going to be. I encourage you guys to read it. I'm going to go through a few things in here, but I want you guys to read it. You guys might pick up some things that I don't say or I missed. So Genesis 41 starts out with Pharaoh having this dream, and he calls for all of the wise men and the magicians in the land of Egypt to come and interpret the dream because Pharaoh doesn't know what it means. And nobody can interpret it. And so last week, Ty was talking about the chief cupbearer and chief baker, that Joseph was able to interpret their dream in prison. And the chief cupbearer remembered Joseph and says, Pharaoh, I know this guy in prison. His name's Joseph. He can interpret dreams. He interpreted mine in the baker's dream. I think he can interpret yours. So then Pharaoh says, okay, let's bring him to me. Let's see if he can interpret this dream. And that's when we're going to pick up in verse 15 and 16 of Genesis 41. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it's not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. I want to be like Joseph in this. Like, Joseph's been in the dumps. He's been in prison for years. And the first thing he says when his name is called is, it's not me, it's God. He points to God. He gives all glory to God right away, right? And then Pharaoh goes on to explain this dream to Joseph. And in verse 25 through 28, it says, then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Then 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh, God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Joseph's finally seeing the work and the fruit of what he's been preparing for in the seasons he's been put into. Verse 37 through 43, this proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants, and Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this, in whom in the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has shown you all there is, none so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand and clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot, and they called him out before him, bow the knee. Thus he set over all the land of Egypt. Finally, we're seeing Joseph live the dream. He's living the dream now. He's been put in charge, second-hand in charge of all of Egypt. The rest of chapter 41 goes on to say what Joseph had just interpreted to come true, right? He was right. It all had come true. But one last thing, and James pointed this out to me, and I felt like I needed to read this, but I didn't have much to say on it. So if you just, maybe you have you know what I'm trying to say. But Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for he said, God has made me forget all my hardship in all my father's house. The name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. I've seen Joseph be faithful through this all. And that's kind of the word we're going to be looking at today, is faithful. He's been given this gift to interpret dreams. And at the beginning, he probably wants to go do it right away. But if God let Joseph do it the way he wanted, well, it'd be for Joseph's will, and he'd mess it all up. Just like we all do. We would all mess it up because we're humans. And if we go for our will, it's not going to go the way. But instead, he stays faithful through each season that he's put into for God's will, but not his. We see him, he's just putting into the trenches. And I'm going to use trench, waiting season, and prison all kind of as one. Those are all kind of one word today. I'm going to use them all. But his attitude never changes. His attitude stays the same through every season. And I love that about Joseph. Then when his name is finally called, he's prepared himself in those seasons. It wasn't like those seasons were pointless. Those seasons had a purpose, and God knew what that purpose was. And even though that Joseph may not have known what that purpose was, he stayed faithful, and he knew that if he continued to worship Jesus, if he continued to stay faithful to God, that God would bring him out of those, and he will start seeing the fruit that God has given him. And the last thing is, once he interprets this dream, once he's given all of Egypt, he could use that power in the wrong way. He could be cocky. He could finally say, you know what? Finally, it's my time. This is Joseph's land now, right? But instead, he treats everybody with grace and love, just like God treated him. He could have said, you know what? Give me Potiphar's wife. Give me my brothers. Give me everybody who did me wrong. I'm going to put them all in prison. I'm going to make them pay for what they did to me. I didn't deserve any of this. I'm going to make them pay. But we see that he doesn't. And I don't want to give too much away in the future, but he stays faithful, and he treats everybody with the same grace that God's given him in the last few seasons of his life. But not only is Joseph faithful to God, but God's also faithful to Joseph in every season of his life, right? God's put Joseph in each one of these trenches, but as we can see through this whole story, God doesn't leave him in a single one of those alone. God's with him in every single one, and God brings him out of every single one. I feel like sometimes that can feel like Zootown Church. Zootown Church has been through a lot, right? And it feels like we could be in a trench right now. But I know if we continue to stay faithful, if we continue to push into Jesus, that God will not leave us here alone. He will get us out of it every single time. Man, I'm kind of flying through this, kind of worrying right now, but just going to breathe, maybe take a drink of water. Everybody likes to throw a quote up. I've realized a lot of our preaching team likes to say quotes. I've never heard this quote, so I'm going to say it's an original quote. If you want to put it in your Instagram bio, cool. You don't even have to tag me, just maybe put quote unknown, make it a little mysterious. When somebody watches this in 10 years, they'll be like, oh, that was Caleb that said that? Sweet. But no, there's one thing I want you to listen to. It's this right here. Our God is not a God of what ifs. He's a God of watch this. And what I mean by that is there's times in my life, and I'm sure Joseph is saying the same thing, that Joseph's in this prison, and if he knows he's going to interpret Pharaoh's dream, he could have easily said, God, but what if Pharaoh doesn't have this dream? What if this happens? Or what if that doesn't happen? I don't know what your what if could be, but we get caught up in the what ifs of God, but if God has made that promise, that's when God comes in and says, I'm not a God of what ifs. If it's my will, it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen, no matter what. So stop getting caught up in the what ifs and just trust God's will. Our God is not a God of what ifs. He's a God of watch this. But being faithful has to start with the small things. For me, these small things can be like every day reading my Bible, praying, spending time with Jesus, meditation. One of my favorite things is of the week is Sunday morning when we worship and go into meditation. It's like the most peaceful. I have the most joy and peace sitting in here, just worshiping Jesus and then taking time sitting with Jesus in the presence of Jesus. But when life gets busy, what's the first thing that I throw out? It's that time with Jesus. It's that prayer. It's reading my Bible. And I find one of my favorite things about me is I hate making excuses for myself. So like, I'll sit on my phone for an hour before bed, and I go to bed, and I'm like, if I just had an hour for my phone, why can't I spend 15 minutes with Jesus, right? If I spend 15 more minutes, yeah, I might lose 15 minutes of sleep, but what? I just spent an hour on my phone. And it starts with those little things. If we can stay faithful through the little things that God's given us, it's going to be easier to stay faithful through the harder things, because there will be harder things that come that we are tested and have to stay faithful through. It takes little faith when you're sitting on the couch and you feel like Jesus is sitting right next to you talking, simple conversation. You can see him, you can feel him, you can hear him. It takes little faith when things are going so well. It takes all the faith that you have in you to muster up to say, Jesus, I don't know where you are. I don't see you. I don't know if you're on this couch with me. I don't hear you. I can't see you. I can't feel you. But Jesus, I know you're here, and I know you are working through me and in me, but I can't feel you. It takes all the faith that you have to stand up and say, God, I'm going to stay faithful through this season. I saw or heard this sermon, and I don't remember who it was. I really wish I did. I think it honestly might have been Sadie Huff Robertson, or whatever her name is. You guys know. First childhood crush. Sorry. But she said something along the lines of, you get your answers in your obedience. And sometimes it takes a yes in something you really don't want to do or don't feel capable of doing, and that's when you're going to get your answers and when you're going to hear God most loud and clear. For me, that's standing up here preaching. Sometimes I don't feel capable at all. I'm looking around and I see so many people who I'm like, I look up to them so much. They're way more wise than I am, right? But the thing is that's the enemy lying to me saying, you can't be up here. But the reality is Jesus speaks to me in different ways he can speak to you. And you guys aren't learning from me, we're learning from each other here. But when we say yes, sometimes that's when we get our answers most clear. And I don't want to say yes in hopes or expecting to hear my answers or get what I want. But there is a sense that I am. And I don't know if it's sometimes when we say yes, when we are obedient to Jesus, that our eyes are starting to be on what truly matters. Our eyes are open to what truly matters. And maybe those answers have been right in front of us the entire time. And we just couldn't see them. We were blinded because our eyes were focused on the wrong thing. But we say yes in hopes. And those answers may not come. I might say yes to preaching 100 times before I might see the fruit of what I'm doing, right? But we say yes in hopes that Jesus will give us the answers we're looking for. But also, I'm not doing this. I don't know. It's it's weird. I'm not saying yes because I just need that answer. I'm saying yes because we are called to be faithful to Jesus, right? In my life, I feel like there's been a few of these gut checks for me being faithful to God. And one of them was a few years ago. You guys know James talked about it, a leader at Zootown Youth for some years. And there's been some nights that there's been 3 high school guys and 3 male leaders, right? And I remember going home and saying, God, where's the youth? Why can't we have any more guys here? But the way I was saying that was in a selfish way. I wanted more guys there so I could be glorified, right? And that was when God was like, whoa, why are you here? Are you here for you? Or are you here for me? Right? And it was then I started realizing that I have to be content in what God and how many people he brought here to hear his story, not mine, but Jesus' story, right? And I missed that when we had those 3 kids, they had my 100% attention. if there's 15 kids, they have a little piece of me and a little piece of each leader. But since we had the 3, we were able to pour into those 3 kids with everything we had, right? And last week, Bryce and Ty said there's a lot of empty seats in here, and we want people to come in and hear the life-altering love of Jesus. That is when we want more people. That is the mission, is so people come in here and they can hear the life-altering love of Jesus. When it starts to shift between, I want more people in these seats to hear Caleb talk, that's when we got our goal wrong. That's not what we're here for. So we want more people in here and more people so they can understand and experience the life-altering love of Jesus. I feel like I missed something. Okay, I'm going to call the band. I'm sorry. Band, come on up. I feel like I could be in this season of my own prison right now. The last few years I've been about a year. It feels like I could be on this couch alone. I don't know where God is. And it's a weird season I'm in. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to pray. I keep asking Jesus, what's my purpose? And I don't know. And that's really hard. I don't know what people ask me how I'm doing. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm not doing bad, but I'm not like thriving. And I suck with emotion, and so I just can't relate to with people about that. And it's like the most frustrating thing. But I kept coming back to like, God, what is the point of this sermon? What's my purpose? What's the purpose of this sermon? Like, I could come in here and I could tell you guys where God was faithful to Joseph and where Joseph was faithful to God. I could keep pounding into that. I could keep trying to tell you guys how to be more faithful. That's not going to come across. I don't want to do that. I'm not telling you what to do at all. I just kept coming back to come alongside. Come alongside people. And if you feel like you're in this waiting season, this prison right now, you're not alone. You're not alone in this room. There's people in this room that have been in this waiting season, that are in the waiting season. You're not alone because Jesus is with you in this waiting season. And I want you, if you are in this room and you have been in that waiting season, but you're through it, I want you guys to reach out to somebody. You might not be in this room, but if you see somebody in that season, be the hope for somebody. Reach out. Show them that there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. This season will not last forever. Like, we don't know how long it'll last, but reach out. Continue to stay faithful. Continue to be a light to the other people around you. And as we come to the communion table today, I just want you guys to realize that you're showing a sign of faith just coming to this communion table. When we get up, we come to the communion table, you might be saying, God, I haven't talked to you in a week. God, I haven't seen you. The last time I talked to you when I was coming to this communion table. But the way you come to this communion table is saying, Jesus, I know 2,000 years ago you took care of this sin. You took all the burdens from me. And I don't know why I can't get over this thing. I don't know why I keep struggling with this. I don't know why I'm going through this. I don't know why I can't feel you. Whatever it is, you're coming and you're laying your burdens at the table of Jesus. You're putting them at Jesus' feet. And you're walking freely saying, Jesus, no matter what, I know that I'm a free man, I'm a free woman, because you have made me free. So as we come to this communion table, leave your baggage, show a sign of faith, give it to Jesus, and walk freely. Before we come to this communion table, shake somebody's hand, tell them hi, tell them you love them. Thank you.